We're good to go. Everything's great. So, first and foremost, I want to begin our conversation with probably one of the most momentous events of our lifetime, which was COVID. 4 years ago, we were trying to figure out how we're going to get through it, all the different ramifications. How did you ultimately get through that time period, and how did it change the way that you do things now?
Well, for me with COVID, it was a blessing in disguise because I'm more of an introvert and I could already, deal with everything that was happening. So it didn't really affect me so much because I was at a point where I was transitioning from one career to the next. So it really just gave me the opportunity to dig in and learn more about it. And in fact, COVID came right after an epiphany that I had where I was standing outside of a log cabin looking up at the blue sky, and I was making one last ditch effort because I just felt like, I've been at this for a while and it's just not my business isn't moving as fast enough.
Yeah.
And I looked up to the sky and I'm like, what more than anything else do I love in this world? And instantly this vision of portrait photography came to mind. I'm like, what is this about? But fast forward, it turned into what I now call the therapeutic photo shoot method. So we can talk about it later, but I'm excited to get into that story.
Okay. Yeah. Well, let's
Yeah.
begin that journey into what you do now by asking if you were to be put in front of a bunch of third grade students at Career Day, and one of the kids said, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" What's your answer?
Yeah, so I would tell that 3rd grade class that I help women business owners make their dreams come true by helping them eliminate blocks and worries.
Okay. So, what did you
Yeah.
want to be in the third grade? What was your dream then?
Probably around that age, I wanted to be a teacher,
Okay.
which isn't too far from a lot of what I enjoy doing today. So that kind of stuck with me. What about you?
When I was a kid, I wanted to be a cop because I watched Chips and I
Ah,
saw, I wanted to be out there with Poncherelli and doing all that. And then when I got to be a teenager, I saw the show Cops and realized what it's really all about. And I was like, all right, I'm good. I'm out. But
uh-huh.
it's always been broadcasting since I was in my teen years. I've always kind of been into sports. So in one way or another, it was always about getting into broadcasting. So it all worked out.
I love that.
Yeah, so it's fun. So
Yeah.
how did we get here? Take me back to where you were born and raised. You mentioned Iowa.
Mhm.
What were some of the foundational seeds that have helped you get into photography and help women get to a better place and essentially give of yourself to help people get where they want to go and make their dreams come true?
So, I was born and raised in Iowa, up until the point that I went to college, and I'm actually we think it's a 4th generation entrepreneur. There may be a 5th, I'm not sure yet, but, my dad was, heavy into entrepreneurship. He had, retail stores, in small town Iowa. It just kinda passed down through the family, and, he actually acquired a fabric store, as one does in the Midwest.
Yeah.
And, when I was born, I'm gonna age myself right now, in 1967, my name was up in lights, 20 feet above on the sign of Roberts Fabrics. It said, "It's a girl, my name, and my weight." So I thought, "You know what? I am just destined for great things." But, and in all seriousness, he was a great influence, and I was encouraged by both my parents to be creative. And he actually had a dark room at home, so photography was his hobby, but it wasn't really what I wasn't going to become a photographer. I didn't end up using that, in my business, but those are some of the foundational pieces that I grew up with in Iowa.
So what were some career paths that you got on that has led to where you're at today?
Yeah. So I have I have what I call a trifecta of experience, and it is psychology, which was my first degree, design and architecture, which was my next degree, and then business, just from being in the entrepreneur world and having had businesses before. So I could probably jump in at one point where I had a job in the architectural industry working for a lighting agency. And I had already started a business on the side, which was a color consulting business where I was helping people choose colors for their walls, finishes, and furnishings. It was just meant to be a stepping stone, just make myself a better architect and understand that element that I didn't quite get from school. Um, so my color consulting business, I started in DC and it took off like crazy. And things weren't working out at the time with the lighting agency. So I jumped ship there and just thought, if I've got more time, I can do even better with this color consulting business. So I packed up and moved to DC from Maryland, which wasn't far away.
Yeah.
But by the time that I did all of that, little did I know there was actually some competition in there. I had my business model in some paint stores there, well, a paint store at the time. And I didn't know that there was someone unofficially doing the color consulting that I was doing, but yeah, the manager there said, "Hey, we think there's enough. There's enough clients for everyone." And turns out there wasn't. So
Yeah.
I had to expand my business. And once it expanded really big. Um, I had made six figures. I had trained six color consultants, and we were in six paint stores in between Maryland, DC, and Virginia. And it wasn't until I took a ride through the mountains not too far away that I realized, oh my God, life is so much more peaceful out here.
Yeah.
Have are you ever in situations where you don't realize what you're in until you leave and
Oh, yeah.
go somewhere else?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
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 So that's what was happening there. The frenetic city life and gosh, just the weight of having a business grow that fast. So I decided that I was going to let my color consulting business just fend for itself. And if I got clients, I would drive the 2 hours from the mountains to get there because I ended up moving to the mountains.
Yeah.
But that's where I decided I'm going to find something that I really love,
Yeah.
find my passion and purpose, and dug my heels in and tried different things from branding excursions to intuitive color readings, just some really, fun things that worked, but I wasn't really interested in that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that was really fun. It wasn't until something else happened that really shifted my whole trajectory in that arena.
So who's been a hero for you? Who's been that inspiration for you in your career path?
I mean, aside from my family, I would say I don't know if you know Kelly Wersler. If you're not in the design community, you might not know her.
Yeah,
Kelly
no.
Wersler.
Okay.
Yeah, she actually has a like an educational forum on Masterclass,
Yeah.
but she's someone who made it really big in the design world, and she is still in that world and is just very unique and has also started a furnishings line. But what I appreciate about her is she's so unassuming. I've seen some like interviews with her and she's very quiet and introverted and almost shy. And I just think it would be fascinating to be able to sit down with her to learn her path and understand, where she's gone to get where she is to be so successful today.
Yeah. So talk to me about this new photographic venture and kind of what your philosophy on taking pictures is. I love taking pictures myself, but what is it that really gets you going about capturing images?
Yeah. Well, so one thing was right before that happened, when I was doing this process of finding my passion and purpose and hiring mentors, my mom unexpectedly died. And I mean, she was almost 81. I mean, that's to be expected. But what really upset me, of course, I was sad we were very close, but I think what upset me most was that she only got to spend 10 days at her dream destination before she died. She had, for 10 years, she dreamed of being at this facility with her best friend of 50 years. And it just so happens that a room opened up next to hers and just the stars aligned and she was able to go there. But she was only there for 10 days and she died. And I just thought that it was just so I was so upset because it was unfair. You
Yeah.
know, she had also wanted to be an interior designer growing up, but she decided to raise, you know, a family instead. So after that happened, then I was on a mission of, you know what? I don't want anybody else to have to wait until the end of their life before they live out their dreams.
Yeah.
And so that really pushed me into visionary coaching. Um, and then you were asking about the photo shoot thing, and you
Yeah.
mentioned that, you know, you have taken pictures, but that came about because I knew that I was going to do some sort of coaching and I wanted to help women especially. And as such, I had actually hit rock bottom. I was saying in the beginning where I felt like things just weren't happening fast enough. And I was really trying to decide, hey, am I going to burn this business down or move forward with it? So I was staying in a log cabin at the time, and I remember distinctly going outside, making one last ditch effort, right, to keep my business. And I looked up to the sky, and I just remember it was so blue that day. And it was just kind of like, what more than anything else in this world do I love? And when portrait photography came to mind, I'm like, well, yeah, I love portrait photography, but I didn't understand why.
Yeah.
So I started tying it to what I was doing with coaching already. And I realized, you know what? I have this knack for seeing people on social media and seeing when there's a disconnect. Maybe they're not their real selves, you know, they're marketing in such a way. And I just think to myself, oh my God, I could help you, you know, position yourself better. And that's where the photography element dropped into place because it's therapeutic in a way that I'm already working with them to uncover blocks. And these are subconscious blocks, which is the first step in what I help them with. But this next step, I thought, you know, I love photo shoots and I love, you know, when women have these incredible photo shoots for their business and branding. And I thought, what if I could help them with a photo shoot? Not directly, not me taking the pictures, but go through a specific course of action by doing some Pinterest exercises and really dropping things into place in terms of branding and whatnot, and have them, you know, take a photo shoot of themselves, whether it's a selfie all the way to a professional photo shoot. And I started trying it, and what happened was people were able to look at themselves from the outside and they gained a lot of confidence by doing that. And it, you know, ended up helping them with their branding in their business too.
Yeah. So, what is the motivation for you every day to wake up to do this work? You're giving a lot of yourself to help women get to a better place, but you also have to evolve. You have to take care of yourself. What is that
Yeah.
combined gumption every day for you to do that?
Well, for me, I believe in living in breakthrough, and that's probably more of a common term in the coaching industry. And what I'm doing is life and business coaching essentially, but it's making sure that I'm growing and really looking deeply at things that I get challenged with, which I'm sure I'll be looking at this podcast later about what happened, why I thought that the time was at 1 o'clock and it was really at 11. So thank you, Joe, for accepting me here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's about really just figuring out life and making sure that I grow and making sure I do the hard thing. And, you know, part of the reason that I thought this was at 1 o'clock was I was a little nervous about it because I mean I've done, you know, interviews and podcasts before, not many, but the women that I help are they have a lot of self-doubt and concerns around visibility.
Yeah.
So you know, they're always thinking, well, gosh, if I put myself out there, you know, what are my friends and family going to think? Or, you know, they're going to think I'm a fraud and that kind of thing. So that's something that I can relate with too, because I've had a bit of social anxiety. So for me to be on here like this is a really big thing that I was trying not to make big, but I, you know, my goal is is to help them, overcome things about getting seen, and myself as well. And,
Yeah.
something interesting popped up for me, the other day, and I have breakthroughs all the time. So, um, I was thinking about how we gosh, ever since the internet really, and phones, and I was talking with someone about how I loved when chat came out. Do you remember, like, Yahoo
Oh, yeah.
Chat?
Yeah. Yeah.
You and I might be of similar
Oh,
in
yeah.
a Gen X arena.
Absolutely. Uh-huh.
So I felt like, this is an important field because I feel like since then, we've all felt so comfortable, behind our screens and texting. And, not to sound antiquated, but the pandemic really added to that too.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's a stronger mission for myself to help people, kind of get beyond this visionary thing. And I help them by removing some blocks and looking at some past things so that we can move forward with that.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. If you had a dream tonight and you ran into the 18-year-old version of you, and you could give that young version of you a piece of advice based on this life you've lived, the wisdom you've gained along the way, what advice would you impart on that young version of you?
Wow, that's a great question. I would tell her to stay focused on what she wants to do and not let others derail her. I am a bit small in stature and, um, I don't know, sometimes appear a little meek, even though I'm not necessarily, but I think that a lot of the things I pursued, it just seemed like there was always someone there to say, "Oh, that's cute, Casey. Yeah, that's cute. That's a cute idea," when I wanted to maybe invest in real estate or something. Um, and I would get probably thrown off, but I would tell her to stay the course and get people around you that totally support you and see your vision too.
Yeah. So what are you the proudest of everything that you've done and evolved into in your life? What are you the proudest of?
Wow. I'd have to say it is this visionary coaching business because I've pushed so hard through it and I've overcome I've pushed myself to overcome, a lot of these challenges, like I said, with visibility or, even not having, the income that I wanted because I did so well with my color consulting business. And why wasn't I doing well with this? Yeah. So I think that'd be part of it. Yeah.
What's the best advice you've ever gotten?
That's a good one. It was my freshman year of college, the first time I went through, and I was really stressed out with finals, at the end of the year, and I remember talking to my brother who's 12 years older than I am. To this day, he does not remember saying it, but I was really stressed out, and he's now a relationship therapist. But he said, Casey, sometimes just getting enough sleep is all you need, and you'll feel better in the morning." And I was like, it was the simplest of advice,
Yep.
but he's not wrong.
Yeah. I totally agree. Sun always
Yeah.
rises the next day. So at the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, colleagues, everyone that knows you, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I am a quirky, kind of behind the scenes, um, person. Uh, I always have said, like, I love to brainstorm and help people with things, and I've always said, I could sell business ideas on the corner for a living because I'm just so into it and I love to understand people and what would make them happy and what works for them. So, yeah, I'd say that's probably the best perspective on that.
The best business idea I've had, and I can't believe somebody hasn't done it, and I
What
don't
is it?
mind putting it out. I've done it a lot.
Uh-huh.
Why don't they make a network called the Commercial Network? And it's all the commercials that we grew up with. They could have themes. Super Bowl weekend, they could have all the Super Bowl commercials. They could have
Yes.
behind the scenes, interview the people that made them. Like
Oh,
what kind of drug was that person on that came up with the chuck wagon running away from the dogs? right? What kind of
Exactly.
drug did the Skittles people take that came up with these weird vignettes? Like, why hasn't somebody done that? And it would be the snake eating its own tail. It's commercials, and you're putting commercials in between them. It's a win-win
I
situation.
love it. Why don't you do it, Joe?
I need to. I don't know who to talk to. I'm hoping Ted Turner's around and he like catches one of these and he's like, "All right, I'm gonna get a hold of this dude."
For sure. Oh my God, it would go over so well. Think about all the Gen Xers and baby boomers that would
Oh,
climb
just
on board.
jingles. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I was talking yesterday about, soap operas. I think in the beginning, I was a communications major. They were named soap operas because soap companies would take out blocks of time and they would advertise in it. So there's
Yeah.
all of these etymologies and beginnings and origins that came from advertising. I mean, even today, it dominates everything. If they don't have advertising dollars, that show isn't going to get made. It's the
Right.
driving force behind every entertainment notion we have on the
Yes.
planet.
Yes, you're onto something, and you know
Okay.
about commercials. You're in the radio industry, is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
So I need to put some olive branch out there at some point. But when you said business idea, I was thinking about it.
yeah.
So I'm curious. We get off this call, time machine pulls up. You can go anywhere in human history and see one event with your own eyes. Where are you going? It's a lot of stuff.
Wow. That is a lot of stuff. Gosh, that's a really good question. You have stumped me here. What's yours?
I Okay, now I'm a sports fan. If it was sports, it would
Mm.
be game 6 of the '86 World Series when the ball went underneath Billy Buckner's legs. I would just to feel that crowd go
Uh-huh.
euphoric, I would
Yeah.
totally eat that up. But as far as
Wow.
historically, I teeter between seeing Ella Fitzgerald the first time she got on stage at the Apollo Theater when she was just this very timid kid. And a part of me would like to see right before that Hindenburg happened and the Zeppelin went up. Not to see any of that, but to feel that exuberance of flight, that
Yes.
moment that led to the moon race and everything that is dependent on us getting places fast, which is flight.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. I
yeah.
love that.
But
Yeah, I don't know.
we'll shelve this. We'll
Okay.
put this off. So
Okay.
if anyone wants to reach out, they want to hire you, learn more about what you're doing, any of the good
Mhm.
business, where do they go?
They can reach me, through LinkedIn is probably the best place right now, um, under my name, KC Cohn, and it's the initials KC, the last name COHN. And, I actually, if they wanna reach out, I've got a gift for them.
Okay.
It is a exercise method that I came up with that can give them a lot of confidence, especially when they feel like they're in an industry that is full, and how are they gonna stand out? So it's something that I developed for my own use and used with my clients, and it's done incredible things to give them the confidence that they need, and that gift is titled "Why Me?" So if they can DM me on LinkedIn or even Facebook for that matter,
Okay.
and I'll send that exercise out to them.
Wonderful. Casey, this has been great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your story. Thank you for your time. I hope you feel more at ease now that we're done.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I
Yes.
am really happy and grateful that you took the time to talk with me. So thank you for that.
It's been
Yeah.
a pleasure. It's great to meet
Yeah.
you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
You too.
Best of luck.
Now,